Thank you. Thank you. Right. Okay. Okay. Right. So, negative painting. We had a go at it last week. Some of you got the message, and some of you didn't. So, we'll see if we'll try it again. A few hints about watercolor painting. Yet again, it doesn't hurt to repeat them. When you are collecting paint, do work it in the pan here, because what you're doing by doing that is releasing the paint pigment from the gum arabic by introducing the water, and that way around you get the pigment dispersed nicely in the liquid that you're trying to paint with. And if you're picking up the paint, if you twist your brush in the paint thing, you collect more paint into the bristles of the brush. So you just get more paint more quickly. What color to? I'm torn between you. I'm using yellow ochre. I know she's actually red sandstone, but I don't want to do a red sandstone. I want to do a yellow sandstone. So I'm going to use the yellow. In this picture, I am not going to, it's the same as, yeah, pretty much the same as that one. I'm not going to paint it this dark greeny color. I'm just going to look at the shadows, not the intrinsic color of the object. Yes? Yes. Okay. Do you understand the difference? Right. Sort of. Right. Okay. It will be perhaps instead of painting her green, I'm going to paint her sandstone. So it's going to be yellow ochre. I've got two choices for my dark color that I want to do to introduce the shadow. I can either use French ultramarine or I can do ultramarine violet. And my instinct is, since this is yellow, to use the ultramarine violet, because those two colors together make a sort of browny color, which is quite attractive. Whereas if I mix the blue with it, it will tend to go green. And then I might get confused and start to paint the green in the picture. So I think on balance, I've talked myself into doing ultramarine violet. Okay. So when you are painting, you need to slightly dampen your paint in the pan so that it's got a time for the water to penetrate the paint and release some of the paint in the top of the pan, so that you have an idea of, you're able to get more paint out more quickly. There's no point in wetting a lot because I'm not going to use them, and all that does is create problems with those paints. Right, so I've got a mix of both of these. Next thing to say is, if you have a pan like this and it's sloping downhill, the paint will run to the bottom. It's what you see near the top is the color of the mix, not that concentration of paint at the bottom, right? So in this case, although that looks dark down the bottom, in actual fact, the colors I've got is this lighter one near the top. Okay. A watercolor is all about controlling the amount of water in the reservoir. This fat body here is the reservoir. With a stable brush, you can have quite a bit of water in there, and it is released by the pressure of the brush on the paper. If you've got a simple synthetic, not a treated one, it will just drop straight off, come straight out on the paper, end of story. So you can't work so much on one brushful. Right, so this is one of those sweatbands that they play tennis with. And I find it very useful, especially if I'm going outside, to have it on my wrist, because it just takes the water out of the brush. Right, now what I've done is do a drawing. Excuse me, people online. I've done a drawing of the lady here. I think it's St. Werburgh, because she was on the cathedral outside on one side of the door. Okay, so we'll try her. And I'm going to start negative painting. Oh, I think I better explain 3 pots too, haven't I? 3 pots of water. 1 to wash the paint off the brush. 1 to wash the dirty water that you've just taken there off the brush again. And then this is for clean water to pick up for your paints. If you use crystal clean water to mix your paints, you get clear colors and not muddy colors. Some people like muddy colors, so, you know, take your own. That's the other way I do it. Right, so I'm going to paint over the whole of the face completely with this color. Had there been some bright sunlight when I took the picture, I would have been leaving the sunlight highlights. But as it is, I'm going to do the whole face, the whole picture. And I'm trying not to be too wet, because it really has to dry before I do anything else. No, I don't want it to be so wet I can't do what I want to do. I need to get some more color there. And it's already bleeding from that pot into this. I'll make it here.
If you were doing it at home, would you have wetted it before?
If I've got time to leave it to dry, yes, you get a better evenness of spread of the paper. Well, one of the other things that happens if you do it this way is you don't make a really good cover. So, I'm not. Incidentally, I'm just going over each area with 1 brush stroke. I am not scrubbing it in. 1 brush stroke is all that is needed. There we are. There you are. So I've just gone over the whole of the outside of the drawing. I better put a bit more up here. Now, if I was doing this for the purpose, oh, that was silly. Then I have 3 dirty pots again. Okay, do it that way. I don't know what I was going to say now. If I was all right, if I was painting this for real and not as a demonstration, it is very rare that you can actually use a piece you've used for demonstration, the natural painting, because you're so keen to emphasize something that you overdo that thing and make something which I don't find acceptable. Right, so we've pretty well painted over her. But if I was painting at home, I'd try to make more interesting shapes for the edges so that it looks nicely painted on the paper. Okay, so I want to
So if you were doing it at home,
yeah,
not the demonstration, and you did something with those edges, does that mean they're not going to get lots more paint on?
No, it just sort of makes it like a vignette. Yes, that's the whole basic idea. Now I want to add a mere smear of the darker. So the purple is just bled across very nice. But this is slightly dark. And what I'm going to do is leave the parts that are light and paint the parts that are dark. So, for instance, we've got a dark period. Come on, not dark enough. Right. Now the back of the thing here, this is dark here. In fact, this is all dark here. This is all dark. There's a bit of dark here. And at this stage, if I feel that I've gone somewhere that I don't want to go, I think I'm all right actually. You can lift it with a rag if you want to. No, right. Right, so this got quite a strong edge there. Right, now then, that curve, that curve, that curve. Tiny touch of dark on this side too. Right, now, so I've done those. There's a shadow here, which starts quite wide. I don't know how much of this you can actually see. There's an area there. This is in shadow here. Practically the whole of this area is in shadow.
See, can I just stop? You're going over the darkest parts.
Yeah. Yes, I'm putting in all the shadow, just leaving the parts that are light.
It's not the lighter parts, the dark parts.
No,
Very dark
it's the lightest of the dark parts, if you like. If you can understand that. I'll show you in a minute when I've done it. I find when I'm demonstrating, I want to hurry. Keep trying to slow down. So this is the lightest of the lightest of the shadows. I'm just painting everything that's in shadow lightly. And if it's not in shadow, if it's got a smidgen of light, then I am trying to isolate that bit of light. Right, I'm just going to show the people in the room. See? So what I've done there is isolate all the shadows. part that's light, I'm not going to put any more paint on. The part that's dark, a little bit drier, so that's why I'm talking. I'm going to put on more paint in some places to differentiate the really dark shadows. Yes, yes, same idea, right? Okay. Yeah. Even that little bit, the face is starting to appear as it is. Yes. So the very light is left in with your initial wash. Everything that isn't light, whether it's deep dark or pale dark, you know, is painted. If it's grey or black, you paint it in the palest of your next layers, the next washes, right? Okay. It's actually, despite the waiting time, waiting for it to dry, it's actually quite a quick way of painting, especially in hot countries. You get so much of the whole picture down all at once. And because you're putting a layer on, the picture comes out. In this country, yeah, you've got to suffer. Yeah, the thing about using a hairdryer is it moves the paint particles, and that disturbs the wash, and is therefore a bad thing, right? So,
It's very wet.
pardon?
Only if it's very wet.
Well, normally I try not. I try again, like I was saying. Thing about watercolor is the control of the amount of water that you're using. If you want darker colors, you use more pigment, less water. So you have to take the water out of the brush to get that color, which isn't very much left, on here, not diluted by all the water that's in the brush, right? So the discipline is make your mix, rinse it off, don't dry your brush vengefully, comme ça, no. Dry your brush and then pick up your mix, put it on the picture. That way around you get pure color and the right tone in the right place. If you can see it. Right, okay, let's see if we can add a bit more dark. It might be too soon, but I can't hang around. So I'm going quite a bit darker this time. I think I better lighten that up a bit. How much time have we got left, Rachel? Oh, that's all right then. We've got time for another couple of layers then. Okay, so I want to add slightly darker darks now. There is one up here, and I think I might emphasize that. Come on, you. One of my abiding sins is I never, ever make enough paint. However hard I try, it doesn't happen. Yeah, yeah. Right. I don't want it to resemble the top of the hat. So. Oh God, yes, that was terrible. Absolutely awful that was.
It was great in the end.
It worked in the end, yes. In the end. Right, now I've got quite a bit of dark here at the back of my painting. That's come out just as a line. I don't want it as supposed to be defining the painting. It comes across here at an angle. And it runs down here at an angle. It's not being too bad, actually. There is a bit of a line down here. That area there is dark, darker. Now, I don't want that to be a hard line, so I'm rinsing the brush, drying the brush, just a damp brush there to soften that edge so that it's not such a hard line. Right? Right. So there's this. And then these are quite dark here. Wasn't Werberger wasn't them? She was a nun, yes. Right, I've got to do something about this mouse, haven't I? We've reached that stage. And as you'll remember from doing the portraits, this is make or break, isn't it? Right, so we've got, this comes down here, actually. Oh, dear. This one is dark. Right, so, oops, right. So I'll hold it up again to show you when I've softened that. That is 227. So again, so you see again, see how carefully you're leading up to what you're doing. So each time you're putting your new paint on the part you've just painted, only not all of it, right? And I think it's about time I actually introduced the purple a bit more strongly. How are we doing for time? Right, okay. I follow you. I follow you. Really, it's getting a bit wet. I want to let it dry. Yes, you can see the water on it. So, okay, this is a silly thing to do, but I'm going to do it. All right? Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Yes. Yes. I'm about to ruin things. Pardon? Lightning. Lightning. Yeah. I might be able to do it by bleeding it. Right. that's far too heavy. So take the paint water out of the brush and calm it down a bit. It's far too heavy, that. But, you know, this is what I do when I'm demonstrating. I go beyond the, above and beyond the corner. Right, there we are.
You have to do that, Smith.
You're a joy to teach, my pen. Yes, what I'm doing is wet in wet, which is a bit stupid, but you know, needs must when the devil drives. I want to share. Okay, just do it, Steve. Just do it. Right, now then. I think I ought to use a different brush, actually. Right, now then, there's a deep shadow here. And it comes across this eye here. It's getting the shape of the shadow. That one is. That one is. Come on, flower. No, I don't really want it to run all over this. It's not going to work properly because it's running where I don't want it to run. It's enough to give you some impression of, there you are, 3 pots of dirty water. Done it again. It's running, but it gives you some idea of the, well, it's meant to. Yes, it's meant to. That's the crisp edges where I've got them, you know. And the face in effect is lifeless. You know, if you were doing a real face using this technique, you would have to soften it up to give it humanity in some way, shape, or form. But it's a reasonably close resemblance to the lady herself, and you get that by increasing the layers and painting less and less. In effect, you cover the whole thing, then you do less, then you do less, then you do less. So in the end, you might even be whiskering with a brush with two hairs in it. See, so that's possible. So that's in essence what negative painting is.